Last but not least, I'd like to now hand over to Dr. Stanford Blade, the Deputy Director General for Research and Innovations at ICRISAT, for his presentation. Over to you, please, Dr. Blade.
Thanks very much, Ramon. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank my friends and colleagues who presented in the technical session, their superb and eloquent observations. And of course, the leadership of Dr. Pathak and all of our leaders who provided their own special messages. I'm going to talk just in this short period of time, not only about the scalable technologies, but really when I look at the types of people that are participating, and thanks to all of you for tuning into this webinar and for staying on for these discussions, it's really about the tools that we can work with together in this South-South cooperation. The next slide has made the case that others have made. The DGs, both of ICARISAT and our own Dr. Pathak, have very clearly shown. What I would identify here is that the challenges, especially of the drylands, are very much a South-South issue. And we need to think about how we work together, the toolbox that we will use to work together to make real progress to address some of the issues that are captured here within this slide. So in the case of ICRISAT, the next slide shows the work that we do, and our ethos is really about transforming dryland agriculture. And you can see the crops that we work with where we have deep legacy experience in millets, in sorghum, in the work in chickpea and pigeon pea and groundnut. And I very much appreciate the acknowledgement of previous colleagues with respect to the year of millets in 2023 and all of the activities that went on during that time. I would point out that in addition to the South-South being the location for many of our drylands challenges, these kinds of crops that we work on are very much focused on the South-South activities. These are the areas where the research needs to occur. This is the area where the innovation needs to occur. This slide just acknowledges the three areas in which we work. And the next slide, again, I just want to focus on tools. Of course, we provide material to all of our partners and cooperators across the world. We have this remarkable, this jewel of a gene bank with all of the traits of all of the characteristics that we will need not only today, but for the next 10, 20, 50 years. And we need to think about this gene bank and even the pre-breeding work that we do as a tool that we want to share, that we want to have as part of this South-South collaboration. In the same way, the next slide talks about some of the material that we have developed. And just like other colleagues have mentioned about remarkable new varieties and cultivars, I would just identify a few that have come out of the ICRISAT activities around high oleic groundnut. The DG and I were just in West Africa where a pearl millet, a Chakti variety, has almost double the iron, a significantly increased amount of zinc. All of these kinds of tools are available, and we also want to think about not only these cultivars, but the tools, whether it's speed breeding, where in the case of chickpea, we're almost up now to 7 generations per cycle. These are the kinds of tools that we want to work with all of you in South-South collaboration. The next slide also just talks specifically around the idea of genomics and gene editing. Thank you to Dr. Bosali for mentioning about the breeding resources services. ICRISAT is now the breeding resources hub for South Asia. And if you're interested in these types of technologies of managing the way that your breeding programs are occurring, we would certainly love to share our expertise and to partner with you. And of course, in the next slide, I'll just point out again some of the particular areas around the types of abiotic stresses. You may have seen a news announcement over the last couple of months where ICRISAT has released a new pigeon pea variety that has a heat tolerance up to 45 degrees C. And what this allows us to start thinking about is not only increasing the productivity of pigeon pea in its current growing areas around the world, but also expanding that pigeon pea production into off seasons or into new opportunities that maybe we have not been able to realize before. The next slide moves into the area, again, more around the idea of resilient farming systems, whether we're working around landscape scale water management, whether we're thinking about sustainable intensification systems that are occurring, and within that, of course, soil health and other activities, and even those digital and geospatial solutions, we would want to share those tools with you. We would like to partner with you. And in the case of geospatial solutions, one of our other colleagues has mentioned about paddy rice and the residual moisture that's available. We have tools now to identify how to increase cropping intensity and indeed how to put in things like shorter season grain legumes to increase the overall productivity of that work. This particular slide now speaks again about the broader nutrition and social sciences piece. I would just point out especially the work that we do in places like Kenya, where MasterCard has worked with us to actually turn young people that are without employment into part of the seed system, that they get our best materials, that we provide training to them so that they then become seed specialists, seed entrepreneurs in their local communities. And of course, we haven't talked too much today, but we have a lot of tools, as do many of the partners on this webinar, around value addition, about supporting startups, about ensuring that entrepreneurs that use our crops can also have access to all of the tools and insights that they might be able to move themselves forward. The next slide then speaks specifically to knowledge sharing and capacity building. Right now here at Patancheru in India, we have a group of small and medium enterprise colleagues that are looking at project management. They're coming from 24 countries from around the world. They're supported by the government of India, and you can see the kind of scope and scale of the training that we've done, but we know all of the partners here are very involved. This is an invitation to all of you to think about, in our case, a dryland academy where we have all of these modules, whether it's about aflatoxin or genomic selection, very deep technical courses which are in place so that you would be able to improve your capabilities. And my last slide is really the one that is very appropriate for this UN International Day on South-South Cooperation. Through the leadership of Dr. Pathak, our Director General, ICRISAT has launched, but we are very much just a facilitator and a convener. Many of your organizations have joined ISCA, the International Center of Excellence for South-South Cooperation in Agriculture. We have a global online platform. Many of you have already loaded your scalable technologies, and there are tremendous opportunities for us to have new partners come into the ISCA family so that we can do even more around South-South cooperation. So colleagues, with that, I will turn back to Ramon, and thank you again for all of your hard work, and to the team here at ICRISAT for facilitating this superb way.
Colleagues, we're now going to...
I was muted, Ramon. No, thank you for the invitation.